While I was watching Raw Monday night, I just kind of got this weird vibe going through my body. Like, I couldn't wait for this 3 hours to be done. I couldn't wait for this night to be over. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that had this vibe and had this feeling. Am I right, Seth Rollins? Am I right, sir? If you've ever wanted to know what Seth Rollins does in his other life as Colby Lopez, by God, you got your answer Monday night, didn't you? My goodness. Hacked my ass. Seth Rollins hopefully learned 2 valuable lessons in all of this. Number 1, if you're going to have a main chick and 1 or several side chicks, make sure you keep them separated and make sure you leave as little visual evidence of that fact as you possibly can. Number 2 is that you don't leave your phone unattended in the WWE locker room. Somebody pulled this rib on you, and you deserved it. And hopefully you learned a very valuable life lesson. So I almost feel bad having fun at your expense over all of this. Almost. I think it's safe to say with Seth Rollins that the Rollins rocket doesn't exactly measure up to a Roman candle, if you get what I'm saying. If he's the modern version of Randy Orton and Randy Orton's forever known as the Viper, then Seth Rollins is probably the garter snake. If he was a golfer, we'd probably say that he lacks length off of the tee. His nickname back in high school in Davenport was the Turtle, and that while he might have hair like a lion, he has the loins of a lamb. Oh, thank you. I guess the biggest, most valuable lesson that Seth Rollins hopefully learned out of all of this is that what his parents used to tell him is true. That you touch it too much, it'll shrink, and it might even fall off. But that's okay, Seth Rollins, because apparently the ladies like the small dicks too. So, you got that going for you. But I guess in this case, this means, according to Triple H logic, that Seth Rollins can never, ever go into the WWE Hall of Fame, right? Right? Oh, shut up. Yeah, because you're so much better. All right, yeah, prove it. You got better Seth Rollins jokes about this? I want to see them. Put them in the comments section. Let's get to the business at hand, and let's talk about Raw. And just so that way I don't have everybody sitting there saying, I don't like anything about WWE ever, why do I bother watching? I'm going to just dive right into the stuff that I actually liked about this week's show. Screw the Schleggadding, what a piece of shit! And any of you that have been helping to advance this lie, spreading these clearly doctored images of Seth Rollins' rocket, if you will, all over the internet, you need to eat shit too. Because you're just as bad as Schleggadding. This is ridiculous. Seth Rollins puts his body, his career, his life on the line to entertain each and every single one of us. And this is how you repay him? By spreading lies and doctored images of him all over the internet? This is horrible, Seth. I got your back. Marcus Smart will fight for you till the end of times. I've just got one question for you, Seth. What's it like? What's it like to touch a woman? What's it like to be touched by a woman? Because Marcus Smart just can't fit it into his schedule. I have taken an involuntary vow of celibacy because how can I be bothered by the sins of the flesh? Why would I need to be bothered? There's New Japan Wrestling to watch. There's ROH to watch. There's a WWE Network to watch. And then there's the time you have to get prepared for the possibilities of Daniel Bryan beating Roman Reigns at Fastlane. Daniel Bryan going on to beat Brock Lesnar and becoming a WWE World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania 31. And then we've also got to get prepared for Seth cashing in and winning at WrestleMania 31. Oh my God, Daniel Bryan versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 31. Oh my God, I can't take it. Who needs women when you've got that? Because these are the 2 best wrestlers in the world. It was cool to find out that Rikishi was going to be the next inductee into the 2015 WWE Hall of Fame class. Man, Rikishi back in the Attitude Era was badass. He really was. He was one of those type of characters that the WWE sorely lacks now. a mid-carder with a purpose, a mid-carder with personality, a mid-carder that was freaking over almost like a top guy. Rikishi brought a lot of cool factor. He really did. They did a lot of crazy, stupid, fun stuff with him. And it was cool to kind of relive all of that, but it's also cool to see what he ended up being after so many years of being saddled with some dumb shit. Does anybody remember the Sultan? I rest my case. Sometimes it takes a while to figure out what works for a guy, but when they get something and they sink their teeth into it and they run with it and they make it work, it's special to see. And that's why Rikishi, for so many different reasons, definitely belongs as a member of this year's Hall of Fame class. And I hope he busts out some moves on Hall of Fame night at WrestleMania 31 weekend. Speaking of legends and Hall of Famers, another thing I really liked about this week's Raw was a video package they did as part of their whole WWE Loves Black History Month all of a sudden about the JYD, Junkyard Dog. Man, when I was a kid, this dude was fucking awesome. I love the Junkyard Dog. He just oozed charisma. He just oozed personality. He made you want to grab some cakes, which you found out later on in life what that really meant. When you were a kid, you thought it was awesome. You thought he was talking about vanilla or chocolate cake, by God. But here was a guy that was so damn cool, so damn charismatic, badass, and yet incredibly 100% kid and family friendly. And he was a mid-carder in the WWF back in the day. A guy who had been a big star throughout the territorial system. That shows you how deep and talented the roster used to be of the WWF in the mid-80s. The JYD, Junkyard Dog, was a mid-carder. But man, what a fucking mid-carder he was. Gone far too soon. I miss the Junkyard Dog. When I think about those guys that I loved as a kid, as a professional wrestling fan, the JYD, Junkyard Dog's right near the top of that list. I love what they're doing with Miz and Mizdow. My only fear is that they're going to get impatient and they're not going to wait till WrestleMania for these two guys to have a match. And then if they do have them wrestle at WrestleMania, they might throw them into the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. No, this storyline, these two guys require and necessitate a one-on-one match at WrestleMania to help get the story to a climactic finish. But Miz sitting there ringside during Mizdow's match, and he's on the mic during the match. This is the type of shit that Miz can do. This is the type of role that Miz can play in WWE in 2015. As I referenced at the beginning of the year, Miz could be this company's MVP in 2015. And based off of what's happened with the Damien Mizdow character, you see the reaction that he was getting from a crowd that a lot of times throughout the show really wasn't that into the show. It lets you know just how valuable of a player Miz actually can be. This shit was really good. While I kind of wish that the face-off between John Cena and Rusev would have been produced differently and done differently, maybe either backstage or in a sit-down interview, we still got a face-off that I thought was still effective and frankly worked for me. It entertained me. And what I really liked about it was that when Cena's the one standing up on the ramp almost acting like he's afraid of Rusev and he challenges Rusev, Rusev's not afraid. Rusev comes charging, Ruski style. And they get into it, and he ends up getting one over on Cena, in part by hitting him in that thing that I don't know what the hell Nikki Bella's tit milk did to him. But that was good. You know, I just know that in the back of my mind that this is going in a direction that I'm not going to particularly like come WrestleMania. And for years I've been pining for Cody Rhodes versus Goldust at WrestleMania, and it looks like we could very well be on the path to that finally happening at WrestleMania 31. I hope the WWE is patient with it. I hope that's where the WWE ultimately is planning on going with this. While I do wish that it would be Goldust that would turn heel on Cody Rhodes instead of vice versa, I'm not going to complain about that a whole lot at this moment because they're giving me something that I actually want to see. And I will say this, one thing I did like that they did with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan throughout the night was that they featured them as the most important thing on the show. They featured them as if they are going to be the main eventers at Fastlane that they're going to be. They tried to give real purpose and significance to what these two guys had at stake. And they tried to sit there and not just play, he's your good guy and he's your good guy. They kind of towed the line and tried to give you reasons to get behind Reigns, but also question Reigns, and also at the same time do that with Daniel Bryan as well. That was the one thing I thought they did really well with the interactions between Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan throughout the night.
Roman Reigns won the 2015 Royal Rumble fair and square. And now, of course, Daniel Bryan is trying to sit there and take his spot at WrestleMania. Well, I got news for you, you goat-faced freak. It ain't happening. You want to know why? Because Roman Reigns rules, and he is the rightful heir to the throne, and he will win. Oh, God. Just thinking about Daniel Bryan makes me bored. Roman Reigns will be the next WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Hell yeah, bitches. Believe that. Romans, love yous. Love you, Romans. Beat this midget's ass.
But just like Seth Rollins, I sat there through the rest of Monday night just waiting badly for this night to be over. Just hoping that things were going to go away, in large part because I had a hard time figuring out what the fuck the WWE was trying to do, what the fuck the WWE was trying to accomplish, and why the WWE was doing a lot of the shit that they were doing. What I'm trying to figure out is why somebody backstage, Vince, thought it would be a great idea to have Kane and Big Show wrestle not only at the beginning of the show, but in the main event as well. We take the two old guys that suck the life force out of everything that they touch, and we not only put them in the beginning of the show, but we decide to close the show with them. What the fuck are you doing? While I was obviously very happy to see that video package in tribute to the Junkyard Dog as part of WWE Loves Black History Month, what I can't figure out, what I can't understand, is why the WWE sits there and figures the best way to celebrate Black History Month with their current roster is to devote exactly one short, crappy segment and match to black wrestlers featuring an incredibly crappy, bound to doom careers type of gimmick. Like, I'm sitting there watching and I see Big E, and this guy's got something. He's got a certain type of it factor. He's even trying to transcend this shit that he's been shoveled and spoon-fed. And yet the WWE insists on sticking and saddling these three poor guys with this crap. And I just can't figure out what. Well, I can figure out why. Another thing I'm having trouble figuring out is why WWE is taking perhaps their one guy that could almost be universally over if they really wanted him to, even maybe more so in Daniel Bryan, and I'm referring to Dean Ambrose, and sending him at the IC champion Wade Barrett. Why should I care about this? Is this really the best you could come up with for Dean Ambrose come WrestleMania season? Sending him after an inconsequential title, wrestling, frankly, nowadays, an insignificant wrestler in Wade Barrett. This is the best that you got for Dean motherfucking Ambrose? And then you even look at poor Wade Barrett. So the bad news Barrett gimmick's working, so now we try to make him some TMZ ripoff. Ooh, it's BNZ, oh bloody hell! Of course, WWE always loves Raw reruns, so for whatever reason they decided they did it last week, let's just give it right back to you again this week. Bray Wyatt versus Dolph Ziggler again. If anything, it gave me an opportunity to take a much-needed poop break from the show, and that's exactly what I did. This probably should be your poop break on the review, or at least your piss break if nothing else. I just want to know, what the hell are you doing with Dolph Ziggler, WWE? Jesus. Why did you put him in that spot of Survivor Series if you're going to do this with him? You're just teasing people. You're just wasting your time. You're just wasting Dolph Ziggler's time. You're just wasting the fans' time. If you're not going to care about him, then don't put him on television anymore. Stop having him flop around and get people all giggly tits about these solid matches he's doing when you're never going to do any fucking thing else with him. And furthermore, why are you doing Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker? That should have been the match last year at WrestleMania. Now that Taker's streak is over, why in the hell should I care about this match at this year's WrestleMania? Praise God! That's the only way you could figure out what the thought process was behind Triple H getting another promo segment to call out Sting, to demand that Sting answer him about whether or not he's going to answer Triple H calling him out at WWE Fastlane. Only Triple H would get this type of unnecessary, ridiculous waste of time segment. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, Sting does great video editing. Oh my God, it's Jumpin' Jeff Farmer. It's fake Sting and Again, you've got Sting under contract finally. I don't care how much you try to spin this WWE. I do not want to see Triple H versus Sting at this year's WrestleMania. You have Sting and Taker under contract. That's the match you need to go to. I don't care if you say, well, we can maybe save it off for last year. Who knows what's going to happen next year? If you know you got Sting and Taker this year guaranteed, then that's the match you need to do. God could work a match with Dean Ambrose and still have a big WrestleMania match. We don't need to feed his ego by fucking giving him Sting. But you still, at the end of the day, have to bow down and say, praise God. One thing I'm really having trouble figuring out is you have a limited amount of dates that you can utilize Brock Lesnar according to his contract with the WWE. So you figure the best way to utilize him is buried in the middle of the show, not even being a part of, let's say, a top-of-the-hour segment, and you have Paul Heyman talk for a few minutes, and that's fucking it. You wasted one of Brock Lesnar's live, in-flesh, in-person appearances on this? You could have accomplished the same damn thing just by having Paul Heyman be interviewed backstage or doing a pre-tape or something. You wasted a Brock Lesnar appearance for this. In a show that lacked for both quality professional wrestling and good old-fashioned sports entertainment, the biggest thing that I'm left wondering about, the biggest thing that I'm questioning about what the fuck the WWE is doing and what the hell they're thinking is what's going on with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. It seems like the WWE is changing their freaking mind again. The company is mirroring the senile coot running the show. They truly are. Somebody in that company believed enough in Roman Reigns to make the call to have him win the Royal Rumble. Why are you backing off of that now? Somebody also made the call that they didn't want Daniel Bryan anywhere near winning the 2015 Royal Rumble, just like they didn't want him near winning the 2014 Royal Rumble. Hell, they didn't even put him in the freaking match. But here you are, you've made your decision, and now it appears that you're vacillating, trying to appease all sides. It's like a fucking marriage. The hardcores hate you, you hate the hardcores, yet everybody tries to kiss and make up at some point in time. It's fucking pathetic and it's ridiculous. You make a goddamn decision and you stick with it. Last year you made a dumb decision, honestly, and then the fans revolted. So you changed your mind. Now you've planted the seeds that that's possible and they could do that whenever the hell they want. And that's not the way to conduct business. Especially if you're going to sit there and possibly give that to them. No, you're the company that's responsible for figuring it out. You're the one that's supposed to entertain us. The fans should not be booking the fucking show. The company should be booking the fucking show and making the fans like it. And now you're creating a possibility where you could have Reigns win the Rumble, but then not go on to WrestleMania. Where you had Daniel Bryan be a non-factor in the Rumble whatsoever, showing how little you care about him, and unless you're going to send a returning Sheamus at him, you're leaving the possibility that Daniel Bryan could go on to face the guy, the unstoppable fucking monster that just plowed through Rollins and Cena at the freaking Rumble, plowed through Cena at SummerSlam, plowed through The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Give me a fucking break. Pick a guy and go with him. This is ridiculous, especially because it almost seems like they're heading towards a triple threat at WrestleMania. No! We had that last year. This is a cowardly way out. It was a cowardly way out last year. Typically, as triple threats are, they were a cowardly way out. And it most certainly would be again this year. It's trying to appease all sides and making none of them freaking happy. If you want to go with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania so goddamn bad, then go with them and leave no freaking doubt. If you've changed your mind and you want to go with Daniel Bryan, then at this point in time, go with fucking Daniel Bryan and deal with it. But instead, positioning this where it could be another triple threat is just fucking stupid. This is just ridiculous. This will end up in disaster. It doesn't help Roman Reigns. It most certainly doesn't help Daniel Bryan. It most certainly doesn't help Brock Lesnar. It most certainly doesn't help the main event at your biggest show of the year, WrestleMania 31. Pick a side and go with it. Pick a guy and go with him. I hope that as much as a lot of you rebelled against Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble, that you would be equally up in arms and be even more upset about the half-assed possibility of having another triple threat as the main event of WrestleMania. If you want to be pissed off about anything, you should be pissed off about this. How fucking stupid. WWE, what the fuck are you doing?